Okay, so my set story today comes to you from the time when Paranormal Activity 7 was here filming in the South Towns, about an hour, a little over an hour outside of the city down south.
Angelica? Is that where?
Yeah, it's near there, yeah. And at the time, the production was going under the name of Black Snow, but we cast... it's a horror film, as you may be aware of with the paranormal series, but we were in this world of Amish people, so we had to cast people who looked as real and as close and authentic to Amish as could be, right? And in the Amish community is very closed off, as a lot of people know, to outside things.
They also have a real unique look.
Very much so. Right. And one that can't easily be...
Yeah, because it's all tied back to their belief system. And,
And a lot of the look comes from a developed, from how
birth,
it started when they were younger, So you can't really just easily duplicate that.
It's hard to replicate.
We went to all lengths and found, people within the ex-Amish community, which everywhere where there is an Amish community, there's likely an ex-Amish community too, which is basically people who've more recently just decided to part ways with their Amish lifestyle. And those people are potentially, able to interact and be a part of society, and not be forbade from a lot of the things that practicing Amish would be.
Yeah, so we hit Mennonites too, right?
And Mennonites, similar, they allow themselves to sort of
photographed and
and
they have phones too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have
do.
phones. Yeah.
So, but we came upon some folks in the ex-Amish community who were intrigued and were interested in the possibility of being in this film. And it would have, a lot of these background parts were heavy significance to the film, you know what I mean? So they required a lot of days on set, big commitment, but also something that could be quite interesting for somebody to be a part of, right?
Yeah.
But this particular gentleman in the ex-Amish community who we linked up with was very skeptical, and really kind of, I think, had a lot of reservations about being a part of it.
And let's just put out there that that's also a little bit normal for this community, right? Just because this isn't Hollywood. We're not in New York City, right? Where it's common for films to be shot. Like right now we're getting our fair share, but you always have people that are like, really? Like here? You're shooting here?
Especially how it starts with location scouting.
Right.
It starts with a knock on a door.
And
We're filming a movie.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So this gentleman had his reservations and understandably so, but the production was interested in his look. We were interested in
the authenticity. We love the authenticity.
Right.
And
also, from our standpoint, when you get an in with one person, you may very well come in contact with other folks who are also interested. So for us, there was a lot of interest for us to meet this gentleman.
Yeah.
He lived like an hour and a half away. He wanted to meet early in the morning at a Tim Hortons.
How early?
It was early enough that the hour and a half on top of the time he wanted to meet made it significantly early.
Amish guy could be like, meet me at 6.
Yeah.
Like, and by the way, this was Harry's solo mission.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, he's like, no, guys, I got it.
Oh, yeah. Harry.
Right?
I was locked in.
You dug in deep for this casting.
Yeah. Me and this guy had spent a lot of time conversing prior to, so it was like...
Well, and on top of this is coming out of the pandemic, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, we still had, on set, we still had a ton of COVID, protocols and everything, and now...
Only added to this gentleman's,
worries.
Suspicions and stuff. So, I get him to agree to meet me at Tim Hortons, an hour and a half away, to basically for me to lay everything on the table, try to spell everything out as much as I could, and get him to agree to proceed and be a part of this. I thought I was successful after I left that meeting, and then at the last second, he turned around and said, I'm just not going to do it, which really was unfortunate. But we still had met a lot of people within that community and filled a lot of the roles.
But I think introduced someone who did the horse and buggy too.
Yeah.
And,
we really, I think, did a good job for them in terms of casting that world. But it's funny because after I think this gentleman had gotten wind of how things went through the ex-Amish community from some others who'd had some experiences on the set, he called me and was, still wondering if the opportunity existed. I had to break it to him, the business doesn't work like that. And usually things move fast. And if you get the call, it's, you got to move on.
I tell actors that all the time, when I'm calling and they have my number saved, 9 times out of 10, I'm not calling to say hello.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I got some work, right?
got work
so
for
like, I got work for you. So like pick up the phone, be available. Our jobs, especially, as casting directors, if we're doing background or for a day player, we got to get that role filled, right? So like if you're going to take all day to make that decision or to call us back, we're going to move on, right? Because we have a job that we have.
It's all time and money, right?
Absolutely.
So I mean, like it's.
Please don't turn us into bounty hunters.
No.
We don't want to have to put APBs out for people.
No, and it's happened.
Yeah.
But I mean, like,
and
you should be serious enough about your craft that when we come calling or any casting director comes calling, you're picking up the phone.
So this was early, and you said it was a solo mission. Was this a Casting Buffalo, or was this?
Oh, it's Casting Buffalo.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
So,
It was just because it was the world of COVID.
Yeah.
There was just we all had different things that we were kind of focused
on. And it was a big
on.
project, so there was,
a huge
we
film.
kind of split things up when we have a big project. Everybody handles one.
Like we had some big background days that were modern times that I know Peter was taking care of, and then Harry and I were building this Amish world because we had to build at least 20 people that worked almost every single day.
Oh my gosh, they worked so much, man.
Every single day because it's supposed to be a small little village. And even though they're just background, it's the same people. So it's not like us doing a huge crowd work scene in which we can just plug and play people. Like they needed to be hand selected to create a look of families that have been together for years and years and years. So it was a really hard thing. So I was taking a lot of the phone calls. Harry was doing a lot of the groundwork. And then they shot like in the middle of winter and freezing cold nights. And
we got calls. They had them laying in the snow, man.
Oh, yeah.
Like face down.
Yep.
In the snow. Like we got calls like what?
But so now though, years later, you've got a brand going, you got an awesome website, you got a following. Do you find that these are easier to navigate because your reputation speaks for itself?
Well, I mean, that's our hope. I mean, it's with us, we get these films that sometimes are, very niche, that they're looking for very niche actors.
We did another, Bashira.
Yeah.
Right? Where, we needed a significant amount of like the Asian community.
Yeah.
Right? And like, sometimes our job will require street casting.
Oh, yeah. And it's a huge part. And I think Buffalo's a great street casting city because we have so many amazing personalities and just good, good storytellers. And,
right.
And I think it comes from all the ethnicities within the city,
Yeah.
We're built on, you look at Buffalo and you have the east side, the west side, South Buffalo, and you can see where all the ethnicities grew early and they have so much personality and so much different heritage. But with that, like with us building Casting Buffalo as a brand, is that we need to reach out as much as we can into these smaller communities and niche amount of people, and try to reach all different types of ethnicities and traditions because we'll get these phone calls.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. Sometimes it doesn't require like actors.
No.
They want real people.
Yes.
They want real people. So that and that's a challenging thing for us because we have this database filled of like potential actors, but then, if we're short on ethnicity or we're short on, in any specific area, that requires us to hit the street.
And for us too, when it's a different mindset when we're casting actors versus real people, we have to put on a different thinking cap as
Yeah.
casting directors, because there's so many other variables that an actor doesn't have in play that somebody who's never acted before would be dealing with.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bigger learning curve too.
I was gonna say a lot of education,
A lot of education,
hand-holding.
learning curve. We actually, unfortunately, did not get a film that was coming to Buffalo, and a lot of it had to do with the amount of a particular ethnicity that we
And we
just
couldn't find.
don't.
Yeah,
we
get it.
didn't have here.
What did they want? Like 1,000?
Six-
It was like a
600 or
high number, and I was like, "Yo, that's
It's just
not
unfortunately just doesn't, and I mean that's a downfall of being a third city like how Buffalo is. But I mean you don't, especially for background, like you don't have to be an actor. It's an amazing experience. But then there's some of these background actors who have had amazing success stories where they started just being like, hey, I always just wanted to be in a movie, and now
They have speaking roles.
there's
They-
SAG actors.
absolutely,
There's,
right.
I mean, like Corey Walter, for example,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
really good friend of us. Started on Marshall, started as a background actor, like, said, hey, I always want to be in a movie. And now he's speaking role on Mayor of Kingstown right now.
Kingstown, yeah.
Yeah.
He's also a firearms instructor. He's an armorer.
officer.
So, I mean, like, there's a lot of stories from just like, hey, let me try it out.
That's continuing with our theme. People just got to get out there and do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Welcome to Podcasting Buffalo. I'm Kyle Mecca.
And I'm Peter Johnson.
I'm Harry Lipsitz.
And right now, we're going to go into our call sheet to see what have we been up to. And right now, we're trying to pre-plan for our Casting Buffalo's Actors Expo.
The third annual.
third
right?
annual,
Do
yes.
you remember when this was just an idea?
Yeah, it
and
was
we talked.
crazy.
I was at Harry's house. I think we called you.
You called me, and it must have been like almost close to midnight.
It was in the middle of the night, when we had this idea, and yeah, now we're in our third year. We have, over 600 attendees, every year. This thing just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
I was listening to this interview that David Lynch had, and he was talking about ideas and what he thinks of when he thinks of an idea and how he looks at it like fishing. Like basically you have your idea and it's baited, it's on a hook, and you let it, you may have thought about something a while back, right? Because I'm sure the iteration of the expo was something I think we had all had some ideas of
right.
at some point for a while, and it just needed to happen, right? But it's like you're waiting with that in the water, then all of a sudden something comes and bites it, right? And we had that bite. And
We
that
had
was
that, yeah,
And
for
now
sure.
now look at where it is.
Yeah,
right?
it's its own organic thing that now I think, like, from year 1 to year 2, I think it was a huge jump. And it like 2 just had such a vibe.
It did.
Such a
Because year
vibe.
one was such a success, though.
Yeah.
I went to year one. I'm on the outside of this, and I thought I go to film events. I run film things. I'll go check it out. And I went to both sessions because it was 2 sessions, and it exceeded my expectation. And going there and seeing just the cast of Buffalo characters, the people that are out there acting, but then also seeing all the people I don't know,
Yeah.
all the possibilities of who wants to learn more was a really awesome experience.
Well, to be honest, just for me as an actor, this event is definitely one of a kind, right? Like it's really no event like this on the entire East Coast. And we're proud to be hosting it in Buffalo.
Yeah.
And we get actors from all over. They come from New York, they come from Cleveland, they come from Connecticut, they come from all the surrounding cities because it's resources here, and we're advertising that to the public.
Yeah. And
Australia even.
yeah, we had a guy from
yeah.
Australia. And the idea behind it is just exactly what Casting Buffalo is. Like, and we brought up in this story today, which is like we want to create resources for us, but also for actors.
Yeah.
Like we want to. This is the expo is a great way to like go if you've never thought about doing it before. You go there. You see the resources available, you see the opportunities available, and how to become a background actor, how to become a regular actor, either in film or theater. We had a ton of local theaters. We support local theater to the nth degree here in Buffalo because it's such a huge, huge thing to the community.
You had everyone. You had the unions. You
Oh,
had,
yeah. We had IATSE there.
Expressway
We
to
had-
Schools.
Yeah.
I think that, how we're breaking this down, and although, we work, in the television and film industry, It's applying to all actors because there's so many different mediums of that, right? It's the theaters, it's the schools, it's again the studios that we have here, all different types, and we're looking to service all of those actors with the resources that they need in order to be successful.
And in our eyes, through the eyes of casting directors, executives, directors, the best actors, I think, are those who are diversified, right? Who can do more than one thing.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
think you can speak to that.
Oh,
right?
for sure. Yeah,
Who can be on the stage.
You
Who
can be on the stage. You're hosting something. I tell my students all the time, acting is a muscle.
Yes.
So if you are not working it, if you don't use it, you will lose it. Right? It's muscle memory. It's a lot of those things. And that just doesn't come from in front of the camera. That can be on the stage. That can be hosting. That can be voice work. It can be all of the above because it's still a level of performance.
Yeah. So, I mean, for this year, we just want to expand on that idea as much as we can. And we're kind of starting to brainstorm where we want to go with it. I mean, personally, I would love to expand it more into getting crew and building a crew base here, especially with, there's films, there's potentially a contract for multiple films being made
at one of the studios,
over at one of the studios,
right?
Which means that not only do we need a recurring cast of character actors and background, but like crew members.
Can't make a movie with just actors.
No, I talked to
a
producer friend of mine who came here recently on a location scout, and with the studios that they have here, their idea is to have at least 2 different crews going
that's crazy.
At one time, right? So whether they're shooting in the studio, then you have a whole nother crew that's out there maybe shooting a different film, because that's how these studios turn over their movies so fast.
And we don't want that to stop from then we have a major come through. And then we have, the idea is to give Buffalo jobs. So this year I think really kind of turning towards like a bigger job convention also for crew members, I think is very interesting for us to go in there.
And even, from my standpoint, I kind of take the lead on booking some of the guest speakers, right? And right now I'm in that process of poking around. I want to, give any, but Buffalo actors, big Buffalo actors. Last year we had Stephen McKinley Henderson. We had Daniel Croy, who's on BET's The Oval. And I'm digging. I'm finding, we got some Buffalo names, that's simmering, that, but right now it's about, we want to see who the people want to see.
Yeah.
Part of our promise to you when we do these expos and think about them every year is how can we make them bigger and better and more worth it for you.
What's the best way for people to get a hold of you to let you know what they want to see? Do you have a form or anything, or email address?
No, I mean, it's just commenting on our social media, commenting on this probably video that we're going to put out right now.
Right here, right now. That's a good way.
And listen to the
We
podcast.
do want to hear from you.
And, maybe we'll put a public form out there to kind of see who do they want to see, what do we want to do, what
seminars.
I mean, that's another thing. I think the seminars have been a huge hit.
Very good.
And I think they're very informative, especially when you hear from multiple different voices.
Are there other vendors or exhibitors that
where it doesn't necessarily have to be marched around a vendor, but I mean, we had speakers like Randy Langdon and
my guy Jim Dershberger, who I actually met through Jordan in judging the 48-hour film festival. But this guy was a creator of Sanjay and Craig, the animated series, and was able to give a seminar. Right, those are the type of things that we need, but we also need feedback on what people want to see.
Exactly. What information are you missing, and would you love to hear about? I know we got into taxes last year as well, and what do you do as your individual business, and I think a lot of that needs to be touched on, but we want to hear from you to say, okay, what should we laser focus on this time? And then
I was going to say, I'll tell you what was a huge success. The open casting call for the Buffalo 48-hour film project. We had 70 people show up. We made awesome promos out of that. We gave out awards at our show, and it was awesome. We had people who showed up not knowing they were going to do anything, end up coming to our award show and getting awards on the stage and crying tears of joy. It was a beautiful experience.
Wow.
Exactly.
You
And
had the longest line.
Yeah, it was huge.
In the entire expo.
We kept it going for like 5 hours. At the end, we took everyone from the line and said, all right, we can't get any more line, but everyone come in the room. And we had like 30 people waiting in the room watching these castings go on. And it was super fun. We got an awesome promo out of it. And I think people were really happy to be involved.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was a big success to have something where they can walk in the door and do their craft.
Immediately, like audition
do their
for
craft.
immediate work.
Yeah, because we had like, you can get headshots, you can, give out resumes, you meet all the players, but if you can walk in and do work,
Yeah. That's priceless.
why not?
Right. That's what we're here for.
So yeah, definitely now's the time to like, let's hear from you, because we're gonna shape up the expo. Really
fast.
quickly.
I was going to say it's going
Really
to happen.
quickly, yeah.
As we go, and one of the things I love about this group is that this is a group of executors, right? Like so when we go in, we know what we're targeting and we get things done, right? So like we want to hear from the public because we can make it happen, on whatever they want to see. That's what we can bring to the table.
Absolutely, 100%.
Speaking of getting things done, how about we watch a movie clip?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Buff.
I got a good movie clip for you guys. Now check this out, right? This is a movie. It's not something that I wanted to critique on like a crazy cinematic level.
Okay.
All right? Okay. This is a project that we were all a part of.
Oh.
Okay. That we were all a part of.
I like it.
And it also involves a dear friend of mine. And I'm going to show this clip. And then I'm also going to tell you a backstory behind it.
Sounds good.
All right.
Love it.
For all of your insurance needs, make sure you contact Craig Willoughby over at Willoughby Insurance, 716-885-8100. Make sure you ask for Craig and tell him Casting Buffalo sent you for special rates. My boy Willoughby will when nobody will.
Look, if you work in film, you know how brutal the hours can be. Long days, unpredictable schedules. There's barely enough time to eat healthy for yourself, let alone work out before or after set. Staying in shape almost feels impossible. That's exactly why Ascend Fitness remote coaching exists. Whether you're on set or just juggling a busy life, this isn't a generic program. It's 100% customized to you, your schedule, your goals, your equipment, and even how you feel day to day. You'll get a fully personalized plan, expert coaching, and real accountability so you always know exactly what to do, no matter how crazy life gets. And right now, they're offering an exclusive deal. Sign up for 1 month and get the second month free, but only for the first 10 people. Spots will go fast. Go to trainascend.com and book your free coaching call before they're gone.
Looking for an unforgettable dining experience in Buffalo? Head to Daniela Restaurant, where every bite feels like home. Whether you're craving classic Italian favorites or exploring something new, Daniela's menu has something for everyone, from handcrafted pastas made with love and the finest ingredients. And it's not just about the food. Daniela's warm, welcoming atmosphere is perfect for a date night, family dinner, or special celebration. Plus, with a carefully curated wine list, the perfect pairing is just a sip away. So why wait? Head over to Daniela today. Come for the food. Stay for the experience.
Do you love horror movies? Here on Getting Scarried Away, we sit down to talk about what we love about the genre, shout out fellow horror creators, and spill buckets of useless horror knowledge for your next trivia night. Join me, Ricky Needham, and my co-host, Rhiannon Needham, as we dive headfirst into your favorite horror movies. Subscribe today anywhere you get your podcasts.
Dunkel? I'm fucking calling everybody. Nobody's answering.
Well, let's send out some more guys.
That's it. There's nobody left, D.
You're still breathing.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
JJ, RIP.
All right, you can stop the clip. as we were doing this movie, so again, I have to put this out here that the film was directed and stars a very close personal friend of ours, John Abrahams.
Speaking of expos,
Right. Speaking of expos, he was our first year guest speaker, but he stars in this film. He directed this film. And at that time, JJ had just finished True Adventures of Wolf Boy.
Yes.
Right. And he was really hot. And
God.
this was before then, right?
Was it
Yeah,
before
this was
Give Us a
before.
Death?
This was
Okay.
before. So I remember talking to JJ about this, and I said, "Hey, well, let's do this audition. John has this part for you," and he says, "All right, great. We're gonna do it at my bar." So I go to his bar, and I'm gonna film this audition for him. And JJ he's in the mode. He's trying to be a perfectionist. And he's doing this thing, and he's saying the lines, and he pulls out this dirty, hairy gun. Like, it's got to be this big, right? I'm talking about this gun was a cannon.
Was it his gun?
It was his gun. It was his gun. And I'm shooting this, and he's doing it as an audition, right? And he's going through the lines, and I'm reading Chaz Palminteri's lines. And JJ pulls out this, and I immediately, step back from the camera, like, whoa. Like, what's going on? And he's like, "Oh, it's okay. It's just my, And I'm like, this is your real gun? And he's like, "Yeah, this is my," and he carries on. And it had to be at least the size of my forearm. And he wanted to use it in the scene. And John's like, "No, let's get you something small and let's get a prop going here."
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my
Very
God.
important.
So I wanted to show that scene only because, again, that was a great memory with my friend. It was a movie that we all worked on, as well. And if you knew JJ took everything to the max, even if it means pulling out and being dirty, hairy in the scene. You know what I mean, for the audition. So it was.
We
great.
met JJ from True Adventures of Wolf Boy, and that was one of those things where they were looking for a bar to shoot in for a scene on a scout, and the producers and the director kind of ran into him.
Yeah.
And was like, this guy has just such an infectious personality.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about street casting and finding Buffalo personalities, JJ was top of the list, and said, "I want him to audition for this role."
Yeah.
And we brought him in, and I worked with him for a little bit to get him to a place that he felt comfortable delivering lines and performing. And the hardest part about that was just, JJ, be yourself. Just be yourself. You don't have to just you already have such a big personality that just be yourself and you'll be fine. Mm-hmm. And he ended up getting cast in that role. Mm-hmm. And, since that, from there, anytime I walked into DBGBs, I had a bucket of wings waiting for me. It was just,
and just a avid, advocate for film in Buffalo, right? He was someone that was always pushing, that was always gunning for films, and also, because he was a resourceful person, owning bars and restaurants, he would lend that, to filmmakers all the time,
Not
where
just location, but food,
catering, rap parties, any type of resource.
Of course, man. So I wanted to kind of give that scene and kind of pay homage, to a film, again, that we all worked on, that was directed by a good friend of ours.
This was Clover, right?
Clover.
Yeah.
This is Clover. I'm also in the film. But this particular moment, I had so many memories just taping that audition, for him and him pulling out. I don't even know what kind of gun it was. Man. It was some heavy
You told me that, and all I thought of was when Jack Nicholson played the Joker.
Oh,
and he
yeah,
pulls
man.
out-
That's kind of how it felt. That's kind of how it felt. In the
goes
real
on for
audition.
days, the barrel.
Right. So again, rest in peace to my dear friend JJ Alfieri.
Oh, yeah.
And that was my scene.
Thank you. Thank you for that one.
Well, it sounds like with JJ you had to do some training because he was someone who wanted to break into acting more and had a lot of resources and did a lot for the Buffalo community.
Yeah.
Is there any set etiquette that you taught him that's memorable to you?
Actually, this is a perfect segue into JJ because actually I wanted to bring up something about set etiquette, and I feel like I'm going to be because I quizzed Peter on this earlier, and he did not know what this term was, and I feel like I'm going to be a magician spitting out a secret. I don't know if people are going to come at me.
I'm always ready to learn. Right? So, like, you know, in the film business, hey, I don't know everything.
So this is actually something that we did with JJ on Givers of Death, which was a film shot in Buffalo by Addison Henderson, who wrote, directed, produced the film, and starred in it as well.
Yeah, for sure.
JJ had a big role in that film as well. But it's something called a 50-50. And 50,
is this a raffle?
No, it is not a raffle. Unfortunately, there's no winnings. But what 50-50 is as a director, I would turn to my DP and my first AC and say 50-50, 50-50. And what they do is they start recording silently. It's a silent roll. And the idea is that during rehearsal or during a conversation, we want to get authenticity as much as possible. So we don't want to sit there and stop the presses and go, okay, all right, picture's up. Let's roll sound, roll camera. Are we set? Okay, and action, because now it's putting people who, I don't know, could be nervous or overthinking it or new to it into a world of just like, okay, now
Right. And
I have to start and go. And now they're in their head about it. You roll 50-50 and we're just getting authenticity.
Well, now that you told everyone, you got to say it quieter because the actors out there are going to be like, I heard him say 50-50. I know.
That's you know, just from an acting standpoint. And again, I did not know the actual technical term of this, but we do that often, right? So what we do is even before the scene rolls, we kind of give some dialogue to kind of get them going and setting the tone, setting the mood, setting the environment. So regardless of what the scene is, before you roll into your dialogue,
you know where you're going.
2 to 3 minutes of just like pre-dialogue, right? And we do that for a lot of stage actors all the time. Or we do it to kind of get actors in character. But to roll on it is also a brilliant idea because you're right. It's authentic. You're in that moment and you know, you get away from the nerves.
Yes,
right?
For sure. And sometimes we do that for like on rehearsals. We've rehearsed it a few times and we know we're kind of in a good place and we're just going to shoot it, you know, because we might get something fun. Or it's like if we're doing commercials and we're getting B-roll and we're just, you know, because sometimes I can have, if I wanted a certain emotion or a reaction from someone, like me speaking to them to get that reaction or getting a story or a look or feel, you want as genuine as possible. So we talked about casting genuine people. We also want genuine reactions.
And I could see that more. I could see that a lot in the commercial world.
Oh yeah.
Especially if you're rolling without sound and you're looking for like genuine reactions and stuff of people. Yeah. It's
a fun little technique that we use, and sometimes you get the boldest, most genuine, you know, acting.
Yeah.
Out of that reaction.
Yeah,
well, because acting is reaction, right?
Yeah.
You know, so why not steal it when you can?
You just got to make sure both the DP and the sound guy know what you mean when you say 50.
Yeah, they know. The crew, they know.
Cool.
But again, it's like one of those things where it's just like a hidden thing.
Yeah,
like snag it.
That works out in an interview too in corporate media where
Interview's
you get people
huge.
trying to put on the show, and then you stop rolling camera and they start talking to someone and they just tell the whole story in a beautiful way.
Yes.
And it's like,
I've done it many a time.
why didn't you just do that to the camera? Because they get nervous.
Well, that's as performers, what happens is, you know, in our natural state, you know, we can speak comfortably, but the moment we know someone's watching or the camera's on, that's what kind of when the nerves set in, you know. So yeah, it's a thing of trying to train actors to be comfortable on camera, you know, naturally versus
or comfortable on set.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just be comfortable to walk in with a dozen C-stands and flags and lights on you and, you know, a camera in your face moving and all eyes are on you.
Yeah.
It's just got to be a second home for you.
Right.
Speaking
of high pressure situations, I think we've got a pretty high pressure recast today.
Oh God!
In
Speed.
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 A little bit different, huh?
Yeah,
Right? A little curveball.
High pressure.
Yeah, I like it. I
love it. It's, you know, 90s classic.
Yeah.
Early 90s classic.
Keanu.
Keanu, let me ask you guys. This is a little bit off topic, right? There's some rumors about like Keanu's acting. What do you think?
I mean, you talking about early acting or now?
No, we're going early. I think it was, keep in mind, like, he got big through like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Point Break.
Yeah. But, there's some people that kind of criticize his acting a little bit.
I mean, have you seen?
A little stiff.
I was gonna say, have you seen Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula? He is brutal in that. He is absolutely brutal in that movie.
Wow.
But I think this is the film in which he kind of found.
Oh yeah, he became an action star.
He became an action star.
Yeah, for sure.
He found it
For sure.
For sure on this. It was directed by Jane DeBont. And it was all about stunts and making a pure action film. And it's one of those films that I feel like falls in a similar case of like the Die Hard. Like, let's do another version of Die Hard somewhere else, right?
On a bus.
Die Hard on a bus.
Right.
This may have been the film where I developed a crush on Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock.
for
Yeah.
many years of my life after that.
Beautifully, naturally pretty,
Yeah.
great personality. And Speed is one of my, like, it's not a guilty pleasure because it's a great film, but it's one of those that, like, I can play it over and over again.
Yeah.
So it's so much fun. And there's, like, amazing underrated performances in there by, like, Jeff Daniels as Harry. And, like,
Yeah.
I think he has, like, the best oh shit, I'm about to die face before the bomb goes
right,
off
right.
in there,
man.
too.
I
Yeah,
remember that.
like,
Yeah.
it's just a fantastic.
I have to rewatch
Wouldn't
this.
really?
That
I
was
wouldn't
like-
think Jeff Daniels could play a SWAT team person.
Yes, exactly.
but he does it. He
No.
does it.
It's an amazing formulaic movie that literally follows the formula perfectly when you're writing a film and breaking down a film. So we have Speed. So who do we have to cast here today?
Jack Traven, originally Keanu Reeves. Howard Payne, originally Dennis Hopper. And Annie Porter, originally the beautiful.
I just gotta say one
everyday
thing
gorgeous
about
Sandra Bullock.
Dennis Hopper is I find him to be one of the scariest people. I think he's a great actor.
Oh, man.
But he's one of those people who, between Dennis Hopper and I don't know, there's a couple others, but Dennis Hopper, I'd be scared just sitting next to the man
think
at
Anthony
a award
Hopkins
show.
eats people,
Yeah, Anthony
right?
Hopkins
Anthony,
too.
he probably
Dennis
eats people
Hopper
for real.
and Anthony Hopkins are so scary to me in some of the roles they've played that
Hannibal
I
Lecter,
wouldn't be
King
able to.
Koopa from Super Mario Bros.
I wouldn't be able to put it out of my head. I'd be sitting next to them thinking to myself, like, they're going to kill me.
No, yeah, 100%.
I got you.
Oh man. So we have Keanu Reeves, which is Jack. Who do we got?
You want to go?
Sure. So for me, I chose Ryan Gosling.
Good pick.
Good.
I think he is a tremendous tremendous in action movies. Like, I think of his performance in like A Place Beyond the Pines. Like,
Have you seen The Fall Guy?
No, but
Oh my God.
I know about it a
So
little
good.
bit. Yeah, I got to see it.
And
but-
for a movie lover, like
yeah,
so good because it's all about the stunt community.
yeah,
And stunt movies, and it's funny. It's got that classic '90s like plot to it, but like literally lays within our industry. It's so good, and he's fantastic in that movie.
yeah. So that's my pick.
Cool. For Keanu Reeves, I'm gonna go with Channing Tatum.
Love
All
it.
right.
I think that he has kind of proven himself and weaved his way through Hollywood. He is a leading man. He's an action star. He kind of has a lot of those same elements, you know what I mean, that an action star, especially if we were redoing it, I could see him playing that role all day.
No, it's a great choice.
Was Keanu, was he a cop in this on
Yes.
the bus?
Yes,
Like,
he's a cop.
so he got,
SWAT
did he
team
jump
member.
onto the bus?
Yes.
Once it was already in action?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty action-packed.
Yeah, he's no, and both were on my radar for casting. And I had a list of 3 people, and I had Ryan Gosling.
Oh wow, look at that.
I
Can
had
tell
Channing
how in
Tatum.
tune
Right,
our mind.
Yeah,
Right. Who'd you go with?
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Hey,
All right,
that's a
that's
good
solid.
one, of
That's a
course.
good one,
man.
too.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
He's good in action movies.
Oh, yeah.
He's very good,
so
especially
Roadhouse?
playing a
Come on,
cop.
man.
I was gonna say
Sure,
the
the
remake
new
of Roadhouse.
Especially playing
kills
he plays
Amazing.
Yeah.
he plays a police and law enforcement
Yes,
well. He does.
amazing.
Yeah,
charming to the max. Like, also super super aware of the situation and how he acts and how intense he can get. So like my version of Speed is kind of like it's going a little bit more serious than the lightheartedness, but like Jake Gyllenhaal can still play those lighthearted moments. Like it's
100%,
nothing,
100%.
you know?
I asked for clarification about the police thing because in my mind when I was doing this, I was thinking he was just a guy on the bus. So I was going for more like an everyday guy vibe. And he's not a local guy, but a local favorite, John Krasinski.
Hey,
Okay.
He's
works-
relatable.
that's great. Yeah.
Yeah,
He
could
can do
choice.
action
He could
too.
be-
He
yeah.
does the what is it? The John or the CIA stuff. What is the Tom Clancy?
Tom
Okay.
Clancy. Right. Yeah. No, that's a really good choice for sure.
No, that's a good choice
Yeah,
too.
definitely.
Not my favorite when he's directing, but I like him as an actor.
Right. I got
You
you.
know, from personal
I got you.
experience. But
Next on to
Quiet Place.
our diabolical bomb planting mastermind, Howard Payne, played by Dennis Hopper.
I got a good one. I think that if I were to do this today, even though we maybe the age, but I'm gonna go with John Travolta.
Okay.
okay,
I'm gonna go with John Travolta. 'Cause
Okay.
John Travolta.
He's creepy. In
Oh.
Face Off, he was creepy.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
John Travolta
he
can be
creepy.
a villain.
He brings the creep factor.
Absolutely,
for sure.
man. Like he's amazing. So I would love for John Travolta to go and do that. Dennis Hopper, and like I said, he can be sadistic. He can be a villain. All of the above.
love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
My choice for that was Javier Bardem.
Very good.
And the reason I went with that is because I find him to be very creepy. Like, that man is
Skyfall?
another
Oh, yeah.
actor
Him in
who
Skyfall?
scares the crap out of me. What's the Coen Brothers movie?
No Country for
Yeah,
Old Men too.
He's terrifying.
He's
so
terrifying.
terrifying.
Absolutely
He doesn't
terrifying.
have to say shit in that movie.
No, he's the way he looks at you, all that. He's scary.
So my choice, I wanted to go a different role for this man, Dave Bautista.
Okay.
Why do I recognize Dave?
Batista, what do you mean? He's a wrestler.
Yeah,
What do you
okay,
mean?
from
Yeah.
WWE.
So
from
he
the
has
wrestling world.
he has
Yeah.
decided to trim down a little bit.
Okay.
Has he? He's not as jacked.
He's not
Because he was playing. He was in what was the
Well, he's in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I was
Right,
gonna say,
right,
he's
yeah.
Drax.
Yeah.
He was at Knock at the Cabin for
Oh, right,
M.
that
Night
was
Shyamalan. He was very good.
Yeah.
But he's kind of like cut down a little bit, and he's still imposing.
Yeah.
But
That's
like
one I wouldn't have even thought of. But
he's
that's
a little
good
bit
one.
different.
a good
And
one.
my idea is a lot of what the villain in Speed, this Howard, is his voice and on video cameras and on the phone. So even though he has a like imposing presence, we're just going by his voice
he
and
has
what he can do with that. And then when you finally see him at the end, he is a little bit more imposing, but he's not gigantic anymore.
Right.
You know, he's not over 300 pounds. He's under 300 now.
Yeah.
And I think I would love to see how internal his acting would be as opposed
That's
to
a good choice. So I can see that.
Dave Bautista.
Taking from his Breaking Bad era, Bryan Cranston. He can be nasty.
That was.
and he can be
Yeah,
pretty
he-
I mean,
dark.
he's a mass. Listen, when you're talking about actors, I mean, this guy
Yeah,
is
he's
a
a
genius, man. You know, he gives a master class. You know,
Talking about
so-
range.
Yeah. Range is like crazy. I mean, Cranston is, top of the line.
I like
Great-
the
great-
Cranston choice.
Great choice.
That's a good one.
Last and certainly not least, Annie Porter, played by Sandra Bullock.
I went with Zoe Kravitz.
All right.
Good choice, right?
Little
Lenny's
different,
daughter.
right? Little different movie
Yeah.
star.
I like it.
Channing Tatum's ex, but still.
Yeah.
No, Zoe
yeah,
Kravitz.
yeah.
Different look, but also everyday person. That natural beauty to her. And I think her and Jake Gyllenhaal would have a really good chemistry together.
I like it.
I went with Jennifer Lawrence because I think her and if it was Ryan Gosling in that part, I feel like they would play off of each other well in that. But
Jennifer Lawrence, I like it.
I've got Emma Stone. I feel like parallel to Sandra Bullock and that relatable but beautiful person.
For sure. Yep.
And that role, wasn't she like just confused and scared and like kind of funny with it? Like she was.
Well, she was someone who she just happened to be on the bus because she ended up losing her license.
Yeah.
I think confused and disoriented.
Yeah.
driving.
What am I doing
Right.
now? I'm
But
driving
she
the
takes
bus.
charge because she's
driving the bus.
stuck
Yeah.
driving the
Right,
bus.
Right.
You know.
I'm gonna go with J-Lo.
All right.
All
I
right.
like J-Lo
All right.
for this role, right? So like, I think I've seen J-Lo in a handful of like really lead, but also like
Are we talking like modern J Lo or like?
I'm probably I would let me say, modern J-Lo doesn't age. She's probably a vampire. I'm gonna tell
I
you.
feel
that,
like
right?
her acting's aging though, but that's just between you and I
I get
and
it.
everyone else on this
get it.
podcast.
I think that makes sense too, especially thinking of where the movie is set.
Come on.
That's
I
true.
mean,
You know what I mean?
and that's kind of why I went with Javier Bardem for the villain, because I was thinking like, I mean, that movie of where it is all white people, right?
Yeah.
At least the main actors are.
Yep.
And it's California.
For sure.
Which
for
is-
sure.
yes.
For sure.
California's full of a lot of different people.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
yeah.
right. Yeah, that's.
All right.
I would go with J-Lo. Like I said, she doesn't age. You could put J-Lo in that role now, and
yeah.
J-Lo looks 35.
It's like for me, especially like young J Lo, like
oh yeah, for
like,
sure,
adjacent. I feel
Yeah.
like Sandra Bullock on that role. Perfect.
very much.
Well, that is a wrap on Recast. Kyle, you want to take us out here?
Yeah, I mean, this is another tough one for Recast. But hey, we have Expo ideas coming out there. We want to hear from you for that. We also want to hear on ideas on where to go for Recast in the future. What scene should we break down?
Right.
What information, facts, and anything else about the film industry from acting to crew do you want to hear about? We're here for you to do that. This is Podcasting Buffalo. I'm Kyle Mecca.
And I'm Peter Johnson.
And I'm Harry Lipsitz.
That's a wrap.
I love you, Buffalo.